right, so welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
And today we are tackling the 2024 Malayalam film, Marco.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is, it's got all the action you would expect.
Yeah.
Right? But this one goes so much deeper than just your average revenge flick.
Yeah.
And we've got sources covering everything from detailed plot breakdowns to like full-on character analysis. And we'll even be getting into how Marco ties into the larger Michael universe.
Yeah, this is a big one.
This is a huge one.
Yeah, Marco is really interesting because it takes that familiar revenge story and flips it on its head.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not your typical heroes and villains.
Right.
It's a lot of morally ambiguous characters, you know, navigating this web of betrayal and violence.
Yeah. Well, and the story revolves around Marco du Peter.
Yeah.
And he's the adopted son of this powerful family, the Adatis.
Right.
And he's tough, stoic figure, fiercely loyal to his loved ones. But he's an outsider. Like, he's loved by almost no one except for his foster brother, Victor, and then his foster father, George.
Yeah, and Victor's such an interesting character because he's blind, but he's also a gifted perfumer.
Right.
He can identify people through scent alone. He can even, like, decipher events just based on smell. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's this unique ability that actually ends up making him a target.
Yeah, and it's a brutal scene. Like, Victor witnesses this murder, and he can identify the killer based on their perfume.
Right.
But before he can even say anything, reveal what he knows.
Oh, wow.
He's killed, and his body is dissolved in hydrofluoric acid.
Hydrofluoric acid? What is that?
Yeah, so it's one of the strongest acids out there.
Oh, wow.
And it can dissolve things like bone and metal.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's intense.
So it's not just a plot device. It's, like, symbolic.
Right.
Victor represents a different way of seeing the world,
So
experiencing it and understanding it, and it's just crushed by this brute force.
Yeah, and that's what sets Marco on the path for revenge. So at Victor's memorial service, Marco vows to avenge his brother's death.
Right.
And you immediately get this sense of like how deep his rage runs.
Yeah.
And the lengths that he's willing to go to.
Totally.
But as the story unfolds, we realize there's so much more going on here than just a simple act of revenge.
Oh, yeah. You start to learn about the families, the Adatis and the Isaacs, and they're both involved in this gold smuggling syndicate.
Wow.
So it's like immediately we're thrust into this dark underworld where the loyalty is constantly tested and, there's betrayal lurking everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and then we find out that the murder was orchestrated by Tony Isaac.
Right. The patriarch.
Yeah. And he did it as part of this power play within the syndicate.
It's classic double-crossing manipulation.
And it turns out Tony was also behind a deal involving like a ransom and some gold biscuits.
Okay.
But he double-crossed the Adatis.
Oh, wow. So we're constantly kept guessing about, who's really in control and what their motives are.
Absolutely. And as Marco digs deeper into this, this world of deceit, the violence just escalates dramatically.
Of course.
And there's that one scene where Russell, the guy who killed Victor, he uses a chainsaw to mutilate Marco's right-hand man, Anwar.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That's awful.
It highlights the ruthlessness of this whole criminal underworld.
Yeah, the film doesn't shy away from violence, but it never feels gratuitous.
Right.
It's always purposeful to emphasize the stakes and the toll that it's taking on everyone involved.
Well, and Marco, he doesn't just react to the violence. He utilizes it strategically.
Oh, really?
He even uses phosgene gas as a form of torture.
Phosgene gas? What is that?
Yeah, so phosgene gas, it was actually used as a chemical weapon in World War I.
Oh, wow.
And it's incredibly deadly.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so his willingness to use something like that really speaks volumes about his transformation.
Right. He's becoming more and more like the men he's hunting.
Yeah.
Embracing their tactics, their brutality.
It makes you wonder if it's even possible
to
achieve justice without becoming the very thing you're fighting against.
That's a good question. Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's walking this tightrope.
Right.
Trying to balance this thirst for revenge with like the risk of losing himself, his own humanity. And speaking of morally complex characters, the film throws us another curveball.
Yeah.
With Tony Isaac.
Oh, yeah. Tony, so we find out that he is bisexual.
Right.
And he's actually made advances towards both Marco and Anwar.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It really adds like an unexpected layer to his character.
It definitely makes you question his motivations,
Right.
Especially considering his role in Victor's death and the betrayal of the Adatis.
Yeah. It's like he's playing everyone to maintain control.
Well, and this manipulation ultimately leads to his downfall.
Of course.
So Marco, seeking revenge, for his brother and his family, he comes up with this really cruel punishment for Tony.
Oh, no.
He leaves him trapped in a rigged chair with a mine and acid.
Oh, God.
And forces Russell to watch his own father die.
Oh, that is so messed up.
Yeah, that scene is chilling. Like, you can just see the despair and the rage on Russell's face as he realizes he can't save his father.
It's a turning point in the film.
Yeah.
Really kicks off this, next level of the cycle of violence.
Absolutely. And this act of revenge totally pushes Russell over the edge. So desperate for retribution, he seeks out his brother Cyrus.
Right.
And Cyrus is just pure brutality.
Yeah, Cyrus is terrifying.
Yeah. And together they unleash this horrifying attack on the Adatu mansion.
Oh, God.
And it leaves just a trail of carnage.
Yeah, they don't hold back in this scene at all.
No, they don't. It's really gut-wrenching.
It really emphasizes that whole cyclical nature of violence.
Right.
Marco's actions, while driven by this desire for justice, have just set off this chain reaction and led to even more suffering.
It's like that saying, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind.
Exactly.
And amidst all this chaos, there's one survivor.
Okay.
Isha's newborn child.
Oh, wow.
And Cyrus and Russell kidnap the baby.
Oh, my God. So that just adds another layer to the whole story.
Oh, it really does. It throws Marco into this whole new level of despair.
Of course.
He's lost his family, his home, and now the last symbol of hope and innocence.
So this is where the film really starts to ask that question about redemption.
Yeah.
Can someone as consumed by vengeance as Marco actually find a path to healing and protect this innocent life?
It's a really powerful question that drives the rest of the film.
Yeah.
So the setting shifts to this chemical factory.
Okay.
And Marco confronts Russell and Cyrus in this climactic showdown.
Oh, wow.
And the action is so intense.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, Marco is fighting with this ferocity that we haven't seen before.
He's fueled by grief and that need to save the baby.
Absolutely. And the way he takes down Russell is brutal.
Oh, geez, how sad.
Rips out his heart.
Oh, my God. Yeah. That's intense.
It just highlights how deep his rage goes.
Yeah.
And the extent to which he's embraced violence.
So it really shows that internal conflict within him.
Yeah.
He's achieved his revenge.
Right.
But at what cost? He's become a monster himself.
And that question comes up again.
Yeah.
Does Marco, in his pursuit of justice, become as monstrous as the men that he's hunting?
That's a great question.
It's a question that really lingers, as he faces off against Cyrus in this final confrontation, and the baby's dangling over a vat of acid.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's so tense, watching Marco fight to save the child.
Yeah.
While also battling his own inner demons.
So it's not just about physical strength anymore.
No.
It's about Marco confronting the darkness within himself.
Right.
Can he break free?
And the way he ultimately defeats Cyrus is so fitting and so symbolic.
How so?
He doesn't just kill him.
Right.
He uses his knowledge of the chemicals in the factory to engineer this gruesome and poetic end.
Wow. So it is a victory, but it definitely leaves you with the sense of unease.
Absolutely.
That unease is what makes Marco so compelling.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer easy answers or simple resolutions.
Right.
It makes you really grapple with, the consequences of violence.
Yeah.
The complexities of morality, the impact of trauma.
Yeah. So Marco rescues the baby. He gets rid of his enemies. But there's this question what now?
Right. It's like a hollow victory.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel triumphant.
No.
There's just this sense of unease,
Yeah, this feeling that the violence will just continue.
Right. Exactly.
And then just when you think it's over, we get that post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah.
Years have passed. Marco's raising the child, trying to build this life outside of, all the darkness. But then this group of people arrive.
Oh.
And they take the child away.
That post-credit scene is crazy. It just changes everything.
Yeah, who are these people?
Right.
What do they want with the kid?
Exactly.
What does it mean for Marco?
It's like the filmmakers are saying you can't escape the cycle of violence. There's always something more going on.
Yeah, these hidden agendas, these power struggles.
And this is where it ties into the whole Mikhael universe.
Right.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Right.
But let's just say there are shadowy organizations, secret alliances, characters working behind the scenes.
So Marco is just one piece of this huge puzzle.
Exactly.
And that post-credit scene leaves you wanting more.
Oh, for sure.
You're just wondering, what happens next?
Totally.
I think what makes this film so captivating.
Yeah.
Is that it doesn't give you those easy answers.
Right.
It's this world where morality is fluid.
Yeah.
Characters have all these different motivations, and the consequences of violence, they're so unpredictable.
It's a film that sticks with you.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes for a great deep dive.
Totally.
It's not just about the plot. It's about the ideas, the themes.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Marco, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What did you think?
What stood out to you?
What questions do you still have?
What about that post-credit scene?
Right.
The Michael connections.
Let's keep talking about it.
Yeah, let's figure this out.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
See you next time.